Hi, I'm Eric Glass, and welcome to Work Talk, where we discuss the most important issues facing your business with some of the smartest minds in the business. And today we're talking about collaboration in the C-suite, specifically among CFOs, CHROs, and CIOs, and why it's more important than ever. Joining me today on Work Talk, we have Ashley Goldsmith, Chief People Officer at Workday, Robynne Sisco, Chief Financial Officer at Workday, and Diana McKenzie, Chief Information Officer at Workday. Thanks for joining me. I'm very excited about this discussion today, so let's dive right in. Why do you feel collaboration across these specific roles is so important today? Ashley, why don't we start with you?
At its most basic level, these three roles care for three of the most important assets in a company: their people, their financials, and their technology infrastructure. So those three need to be working together in lockstep to get things done. Just as an example, if I want to roll out a new benefits program, I absolutely have to have the technology that can accommodate that. I need to have the funds. So we all have to be working really closely together to be effective.
And I agree with that. If you look back historically, data was in disparate systems, and HR would have their own data, finance would have their own data, and IT was there to support the multiple systems. And really one of the things that's changed fairly recently is the pace of business is so much faster, and the requirement for real-time information, accurate information for business decision making is really more important than it ever was before. And so the relationship between our three roles has really changed, and the CIO is now an integral part of not just supporting these legacy systems, but really enabling the access to the data across all the various functions of the organization.
I really agree with that, Robyn. And I think, in my past life, working with the CIO would have been really episodic. If IT was rolling out a particular program or initiative, the CIO and I might work together during that time. But today, I just don't think that's a reality. Today, we work really closely on an ongoing basis. The pace of business is only getting faster and faster. And for any organization that wants to grow and thrive, finance, HR, and IT really need to be together.
Yeah, and I think CIOs are finding themselves in a unique and exciting position to be so much more closely connected to the strategy of the business, to the products within the business, and to the conversations that occur with the leadership team and with the head of HR and with the head of finance.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when you look at Workday or even other enterprises in general, are there key areas of the business that you think benefit most from this level of collaboration?
I think at Workday, one of the things we really focus on is growth. And how do we maintain our levels of growth? How do we build the infrastructure required to support that growth as we reach towards being a $3 billion, $5 billion company? But at the very basic level, for any company, it's really about change, right? And if you don't change, then you're going to get left behind. And so whether that be international expansion or introducing new products, or really doesn't matter, but change is constant now, and you really have to have the ability to support that change within your business.
Ashley, anything you would add to that?
When you use those examples, in every single one of them, people are a deep and important part of that. It's really every decision you make in a business, whether it's going into a new market and thinking about, do we have the talent we need internally, or do we need to look externally? Or if you're considering opening a new office in a new place, what type of experience are we wanting to create in that environment so that you know what type of office space you might need? All of those are perfect examples of how important it is to consider the people aspect in every decision a company makes.
Diana, anything that you would add to that?
Yeah, I think it's a very exciting to be a CIO today. So much of what's happening is enabled by technology, which is driving the change that Robyn spoke about. And it's changing the role of the CIO from that episodic set of interactions that Ashley spoke about before. So the CIO, in many cases working closely with the CFO and the CHRO, gets to focus on where is the company growing? What are the important products? Are there capabilities that are core to the company's competitive advantage that require investments? And there really is no way to change the business model of the company to make sure that the right people are getting the right information at the right time, and in essence, just to make sure the right investments are being made if we aren't working together very closely as a leadership team.
So let's take a closer look at a specific example, because we've been talking about growth, we've been talking about change. I think we could add culture to even that list. When we look at the digital transformation that's happening today. How do the three of you come together on what that looks like for Workday?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that there's so much out there now about companies that are transforming digitally, and specifically where I sit, there's a lot of conversation about the transformational CIO. I actually think, though, and I think we all would agree that there's a transformation that's taking place with the Chief Financial Officer and the heads of human resources as well, where for a company to be closer to their customers, for a company to figure out how you take a product and make it potentially a smarter product, or for a company to think about how you improve the customer experience, or where are you investing in capabilities that are so key to maintaining a competitive advantage. I mean, there are aspects of all parts of that journey that we're headed down the path of here at Workday. And if you think about Robynne's role, there's so much more than just worrying about the two sides of the ledger here. I mean, there's how do we make investments as a company that allows us to balance the innovation in our product with the investment we want to make in ensuring that our customers continue to be delighted with their experience, and ultimately internally in building our capabilities. And for Ashley, there's the opportunity to work with us as members of the leadership team to make sure we continue to attract the best and the brightest, and we retain them, and we create the engagement systems internally that makes this a great place to work and reinforces the culture that we all have come to know and love. And lastly, as the CIO, I have a responsibility for making sure that my team is helping the company get access to the data that they need to make very well-informed decisions. And at the same time, we're building out the capabilities inside the company that make this a great place for people to come and do their jobs every day, something that's engaging and makes it possible for them to collaborate and continue innovating.
Speaking of finding and retaining the best and brightest, as you well put, with the increased importance on collaboration, how has that changed the skills you focus on when hiring new talent for your teams, Robynne?
Collaboration's always been really important, but as the technology has changed, we can actually change the profile of the type of people that we recruit. So in the old world with the older technology, I would really have to focus on who can I hire that already knows the financial system that we're on, because the learning curve for that system was so incredibly long that we really needed people who already had that experience. Today, the technologies are much more user-friendly, and so I can teach anybody to use our system very, very quickly. That allows me to focus on hiring people that are a great culture fit, people that are collaborative, that have wonderful communication skills, that really want to work in an environment that's in constant change and who thrive on that type of culture. And so it really has allowed us to step back and focus on the softer skills as we recruit and really make sure that we are attracting the type of people that are a great culture fit here at Workday.
What piece of advice would you give to someone who wants to more effectively collaborate with their peers?
You know, I think one of the things that they can do is really understand their peers' business and what they're doing. Try to understand other departments. As an example, earlier in my career, I was with the Home Depot starting out, and I worked in a number of different departments, including a run through IT, through marketing, worked in a store, and those were great. They gave me a really deep appreciation for what it's like to work in different departments, and that has given me a lot of empathy as I've grown and worked in other areas of the business besides HR. And I think, just like all of us, I mean, knowing your business better, that helps you be a better person no matter what your department. It's the same thing. Try to understand the world from their view. You'll be better at collaborating.
One of the things I've seen work really well is if you take one or two real business problems, and they don't have to be big, but maybe something where you could just achieve some quick wins, and work with your colleagues on those specific problems, and that'll really help you build a strong relationship so that when you have a larger issue that is maybe something that's more urgent or more complicated or more emotional, that you'll already have established that relationship, and it'll be much easier to deal with those tough issues once you've worked together on something maybe a little smaller.
Makes sense.
I think the last piece of advice I would offer is it's important to have fun. We spend a lot of time working together in the business, and we have fun while we're working together as business leaders. But just a couple of weeks ago, we all took off and had a team building event at the local rock climbing gym. And it was a great way to have everybody step out of their comfort zone and get to know one another a little bit better and do something that, ultimately we all reflect on when we're back at the office.
Well, fun is a core value here, and I've certainly had fun today, and I appreciate you joining us here on Work Talk. We've been talking about collaboration among the CFO, the CIO, and the CHRO, and why it's massively important today in your business. Thanks for joining another episode of Work Talk.